as Eli Manning stays on his feet. It is caught by Tyree.
Welcome to Catch the Moment podcast. This is your host, David Tyree, back for another exciting episode. And this one is even more special. Why I'm with my one and only. You haven't seen her in quite some time. Welcome back to Catch the Moment, my lovely.
Thank you for having me.
So this is kind of like a co-host edition. You know, like we always want, so much of our life is shared, right? And so I think it's just, you are my moment. You are the original moment that I caught many, many years ago. So just to set the tone and the theme of what we're going to kind of guide our conversation and guide our dialogue through is, you know, how do we maintain the fire with 7 children?
Yes.
With a brick and mortar.
What kind of fire?
I think, you know, fire of, that's the way you're looking at me right now. Yeah. That fire.
Relationship fire.
Yeah, I think, you know, and it's not, you know,
Marriage
I think it's really at the end of the day, we're committed. We're two committed individuals to God, to our marriage.
Yes.
Honestly, to excellence in everything that we put our hands to. We're high performers. So, and, you know, we have a good amount of responsibility, right? So we got Clean Juice.
Yes.
We're owners of Clean Juice Morristown. Go check all that good stuff out.
Yum, yum, yum.
We could Catch the Moment podcast. We do this together.
Yes.
We have DT3 as a holding company that obviously from a standpoint of leadership, development, we work with companies. We do some coaching. And I'm Judgment Index certified. My wife helps me with all that. So, woo! But this is our first year, man. We're no longer homeschooling. You're no longer.
Thank you.
I like, you know, it's kind of like you got to include yourself, right? It's like.
Well, you're included for sure.
Thank you, man. Thank you for letting me be a part of the homeschool journey.
You've been a part of the homeschool journey.
So that's the theme. That's kind of the theme we're going to talk through. I'm trying to figure out really where we start, right?
I know there's just so much. There
is. So, all right, well, let's get to it. So, 7 children, my lovely. Our oldest son is Tayon. He's 20 years old. And our youngest daughter is 9 years old, Alina. And, I mean, at the end of the day, we talk about everything. To me, I kind of conceptualize everything into a relationship. What is my relationship with my responsibilities? What is my relationship with my wife? With individuals? What's my relationship with my business? And making sure that everything is in the right, healthy construct based on those priorities. So I don't feel like I just go to work as what's my relationship? Do I have a healthy relationship with my work commitments where it's not diminishing things that I deem to be a higher priority? And I don't know. Maybe let's talk about a little bit about your mindset, because let me tell you something about Leilah Tyree, okay? Which ain't gonna be no slacking in your Mac. Ain't gonna be no slipping in your dipping. And, you know, so, you know, I say this all the time, obviously, love, is once people meet you, they're no longer interested in me.
They are. You're amazing.
They're not. It's okay.
You're fantastic.
I am amazing.
You are. You are. I always tell you that.
But
you have a way with people.
I do. I love people.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
I love them too, but you love them.
I love on them.
Yes, you love on them.
So how does that start for you, man? You got
how
a lot.
How does that start? I mean, I will say this. I can't say it's the same every day.
That's good.
And I think that's the hardest thing to kind of deal with, because I know personally, you know, I love consistency.
Ooh.
Right. I love consistency. So with the addition, obviously, of Clean Juice 2 years ago,
correct.
I mean, we did have a lot of life changes, and I think we're remiss if we don't kind of
it's probably safe to set the stage, right? I guess I'll start it, right? So I was working for the Giants in the front office from 2014 to 2020. I think COVID hits and kind of blows up in March. And I literally came home from our annual meeting with player engagement, which is athlete development, working with my players on and off the field. And I think in May is when the Giants
Yes.
called me and told me they weren't going to renew my contract. Joe Judge just came in, and we had already had plans
Yes.
to kind of open up Clean Juice somewhere around April, May.
Correct.
COVID, the world stops.
Right.
And we don't know what's going to happen with that. So it kind of
Correct.
like pumps the brakes. And I get let go, more or less, because really at the end of the day, they're just saying, you're no longer part of our plans moving forward, which sucked. Because I was probably 2 years away from really being ready to take my leap out into the marketplace. But life happened, and next thing you know, in June, we opened Clean Juice.
Yes.
In the middle of a global pandemic.
Correct.
And my wife was tasked with overseeing Clean Juice because I thought it would be a good idea if you just kind of got your feet wet. You didn't have enough going on raising my 7 kids, and
yes.
so I mean, all the routine and consistency that we kind of lived was just
it was gone, actually, and it was pretty abrupt. So it was gone. It was abrupt, and I actually I could foresee it, like, because I'm like this. I understood that, man, being an entrepreneur, being in a new space, I knew that it was gonna take the time, the effort, the excellence, all of those things. And so I did have my reservations, just in terms of like, man, I hope this goes well, and I hope, the home front, because that was my bread and butter, like homeschooling and directing the children and
co-op,
moving them along and
creating your own co-op.
Yes, and having a co-op and being connected to other people and
families,
trying to navigate that, and it was tough.
So when people ask me about my wife, I said, well, I kind of married like the first artificial intelligence.
You know what?
My wife is like, she was Terminated before Terminated. I mean, like, they got forget machine learning.
You're a nut.
So it's hard to kind of paint the picture of our life. And that's kind of what we're doing, rebranding, DT3, retooling. We have a lot of ways in which we have helped people but we kind of live our life. We don't market. Right? And that sucks for business. But, you got to show the ways in which you can help people and add value to people. But ultimately, when I think about you, like, were you okay with me, babe? Like, I make decisions. I didn't realize this until we actually got to this stage of life where, I feel like I'm a decent communicator, and, I'm kind of praying things through, talking things through. But I've really come to the conclusion, like, it's the finest detail. It's the one thing that I'm not sharing that really creates a major glitch in the matrix. Were you okay with me appointing you as the general manager of Clean Juice?
I think definitely I'm always okay with it, because I think we have a history of like ride or die. We have a history of, we have that oneness, I would say. And I'm always on board. I'm always on board. What I think I didn't have the chance to do was really consider, because it was exciting. And honestly, you were still with the Giants.
Correct.
And I think.
And that was the plan.
Yes. And I think when that got sort of, that kind of brought some like questions and like, oh my goodness, like, how is this
anxiety?
Yeah.
High levels of stress.
Exactly. So, I think that was a part in it too, because I mean, you're trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to figure out, how am I going to homeschool and run Clean Juice, and we we had a master plan. We actually leased a space that had a basement so that we could set up school down there, except that when you finally get down there, there's no windows. After a long time, you don't want your children feeling like they locked up in flowers in the attic. Okay. Then
Facts.
Okay. So it became not a good space for them. And so everything was very displaced.
Correct. And we were literally displaced. So,
Yes.
I'm very transparent. So, we get into this space, we have an SBA loan for our business, very normal, business practice, because we've done well, but we've never been balling, right? We've had mistakes that I would even say missteps more than mistakes meaning like learning how to be detailed
Yes.
with our finances, learning how to ask the right questions with the people that we've entrusted
Correct.
to make decisions for us. So I've had disappointments financially along the way. We'll get more detailed about it, but this SBA loan turned into a nightmare because we wanted to move.
Correct.
We wanted to move. We considered moving before we even kind of stumbled into Clean Juice, but we used our home as collateral, and it ended up creating a nightmare for us when we sold our home.
Correct.
And so it added to
Yes. The change.
Yeah. So
change fatigue.
Change fatigue. That is an absolute real thing. So for our audience, we want to let you know that we've experienced the highest levels.
Yes.
Imagine running a brand new brick and mortar, commanding, loving, serving our family, as well as other people. We have rich relationships that we just kind of tend to people in their lives and mentorship, discipleship, all of those components where you feel like our whole life was just unhinged, right?
Yes.
So we sold our house and we actually had to move further away from our business that is actually open every single day.
Yes.
And it was probably honestly,
Yeah.
there were
definitely.
times where we felt like we were going to die.
Correct. That's like so accurate. Like, I mean, it was 40 minutes away in Bergen County. We're in Morris County, and the logistics with a family of 7 was pretty high. Those waters were high. You're trying to secure their safety. You're trying to secure their education. You're trying to secure the cold pressed juice. You're trying to secure premium guest experience. Okay. And it was a lot. And so some nights we didn't leave there till midnight. And we would have to be there back at 6:30. And then another thing I didn't anticipate, that's why I said I think we should have, I didn't know if I thought about it, but 7 days a week.
7 days a week. Woo. Whoa. We love you, Cat and Landon. Cat and Landon are the owners of Clean Juice, and we thank you for the opportunity.
The 7 days a week was
a doozy.
It was a doozy.
It was a doozy.
And we had people who love us. So we had people who would come in and chip in, and they would love on us in these ways. But man,
7 days a week,
we were exhausted.
Man, it was a whole lot. And so obviously at the same time, I still come home and this is a good relationship tidbit. I think healthy marriages are built on agreement, right? And I think you have to have a standard that's higher than ourselves. For us, Christ is the standard that we look toward. So when one of us falls short, when one of us may have error in thinking, we have a standard that we can refer to that's an appeal where we can kind of both be subject to, right?
Yes.
And that's the strength of our marriage, is that we're on one accord, we're in agreement, and we have the ability to humble ourselves. But what I will say is, I would tell my wife, when you have 7 kids, my wife, we made these sacrifices. And I say we made sacrifices because my wife is a certified nurse midwife, right? So she could have been bringing in this bread. She could have been bringing in some of this bread. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we could have used some of this bread.
Did you say bread?
I said some bread, But we like I said, we just in agreement. We felt like God was really nudging us to lay these foundational years with our children, and it worked out well throughout the years. But what I was really thinking about was like, hey, I would tell you, like, when I come home, I'm coming home for my wife.
Yes.
And I know that's been a lot of pressure.
Yes. Yes.
on you.
That has been a lot of pressure.
So talk about that, because I am coming home for my wife, and I love my children.
Yes.
They're the secondary rich inheritance because I have so much to love to come home to. But when I come home from a hard day of work, I'm actually coming home to be greeted by and to greet and experience the love and comfort of my wife. Talk about that pressure and how you have to navigate it.
So you have been very consistent, not only in sharing that, but in living that. Like, you come home, you're looking for me. And I have been challenged with that, honestly, because I think because of some of the way that I think, it's almost like, man, if things aren't in place and things aren't in order, then I feel like I can't be present and I can't give myself and all of those things. And I think over the years, I've had to learn how to just put things down. Mm-hmm. And that's been a challenge. And it's still something I'm I'm dealing with.
Oh, trust me. I know you dealing.
It's still something I'm dealing with, but I think what has been tremendous over the years has been, it's kind of like we say, the most important thing in a relationship is understanding.
Yes.
And your understanding of perhaps what I have on my plate has also lent to us being one and us being in agreement.
Sure.
And nobody getting all out of sorts.
Right.
But understanding the life that we live and making those priorities. But it's kind of like deciding, I'm not doing the dishes tonight.
There you go.
Right?
I tell her, like, listen, I want a clean house, I want an excellent house, but not at the expense of that good loving. Not at the expense of that good loving, baby. No, like I said, that, and we do have to evolve to that. I think,
Yes.
Obviously it's like 7 children. So if I'm out in the marketplace, and I never try to share having 7 children like it's an excuse, but it's a reality, right? It's kind of like so much of your time is allocated for because you're in the you're serving others.
Yes.
And when you're a parent, a well-meaning parent, a committed parent, that's kind of what it lends to. You're trying to create this experience,
Correct.
and a lay up for your children in the most healthy. It's like you get one crack at this, no dress rehearsal.
Correct.
Right. So a lot of our time and our energy and our commitments rolls into our family, and then there's other relationships that are really meaningful and enriching as well. So, intimacy is one of the things that really gets challenged the most.
Yes.
Because,
Yeah.
you have to be like Bruce Lee said, you got to be like water.
Yes, it's true.
And it's not always easy, right?
Easy.
Romance is a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Ooh.
And I almost feel that the longer you're into it, the more romance you need. Or it could just be all the things on my plate.
Yeah.
I need more romance because I got to come out of sideboard. I'm not always good at coming out.
What do you mean you want to be intimate? No, and honestly, I'm in pursuit. And I think that's the healthy dynamic of a marriage. Everybody reads so many books through the years. I've always talked about the value of understanding. Like years ago, back in the day, 5 love languages a breakthrough for me because I understood.
Yes.
I would be, I'd be telling my wife how beautiful she is. I get in there, and this is when we only had 2 children. So. I try to get in there and help do the dishes and do whatever I could do to chip around. But you had such command at that time, to be honest with you. Just 2 kids.
Right.
It was like, she out here flowing. You didn't need that much help. House was excellent. We clean, simple life.
Right.
And, so I'm over here, touch, because I love to touch.
Yes, you love to touch.
I love to touch. But the one thing that, I'm like, why is she not sweating me? Why is she not giving me the respect that the Macadocious deserves? And it was because I was short on quality time. I was short on your love language. It was a breakthrough for me understanding what could mean so much to another individual that I might be deficient in, and just that one piece. Yes. That one piece that could be neglected could create a whole lot more issues. And I think something that we've grown to mature in is like, hey, you know what? Once we acknowledge it, let's work toward it.
Correct.
But we can't make our one thing the object. Correct. That would create a schism in our relationship. So
I think that's a bam. I think that's bar. Mm-hmm. Because I think a lot of times in the marriage relationship, or really any relationship, it's kind of like people get into a space where they feel like, man, if they're not giving me what I want, how I want it, then somehow it's not a good relationship.
It's good.
And I don't think that's always true.
I'm absolutely certain it's not. And I think it's kind of like, and it's one thing if it's even in the business, right? If you're hired to do one thing, right? But if you find that someone has some tremendous qualities, but they may be deficient in one thing, it doesn't mean they're disposable.
That's right.
Right? And it just means that that's something that needs to be developed.
Correct.
And I think that's the way we have to kind of provide that grace and that mercy in our relationships. What do you find to be let's have a fun moment here. Like, what do you find to be the most difficult in dealing with me as a husband, and even now as a co-laborer, as a business partner? What is the most difficult?
Do I get 2?
You do get 2.
I get too. I guess I'm really learning that I am an orderly person. Okay. And when I put work into something, I want other people to value it.
It's good.
And when it comes to you, I think you value. When I think of like my work outside of this one area, which is you got to pick up your clothes. You gotta pick up your clothes and your sneakers. You understand? So that's one space.
Okay. I got you.
Now, in relation to us working together, I think I would appreciate, I guess, more autonomy.
More freedom.
Yeah, more autonomy and in sort of trusting me in certain areas. I mean, if I don't fulfill it, then you could whip me. I'm up for a whipping.
Yeah.
But kind of like let me flow, and if I don't prove to deliver, then give it to me.
This is good. It's good. So here are two things that we're actually currently still working through. It's a real reality. It's a real dynamic. This has been two of the most meaningful years for me because I actually get a chance to wake up in the midst of my home and cast vision and create vision around business interests and things that we've long felt like we had the ability to grow into and pursue. I get a chance to do it with my wife.
Yes.
So, we'll stay tuned on that. I'm gonna table that. I will say this. What's been on the other side of your request is this is the first time where I'm actually working toward casting vision.
I was just
having a clear, concise vision for what I actually want.
Yes.
So, our struggle in our business relationship is actually hinged on the fact that I know what I want. Right. And, it's kind of like when you're the captain of a ship, there can't be two captains of a ship. Now, once I can see that you're working toward my vision, then there's the clear, like, okay, they got it. They got it. And I think that's kind of what we're working toward because this isn't an issue of capability. This is an issue of, creativity. My wife is just uber talented. Like I tell the superpower of Leilah Tyree is she believes she can do it. She believes she can do it. Like she can have zero experience and she's like, yeah, I could be a sniper. Have you ever shot a sniper rifle? No. But I could be a sniper. And I think that's the superpower of belief that sets the course to something dynamic and excellent.
But I have considered that. Meaning like, you know what? This is a place where like you are literally being very intentional about the vision part. And so it makes sense.
Yeah.
As to why, you're very stringent on certain things and stuff like that. So I can understand that. I can understand that.
And so, so at the end of the night, just don't be tripping, because she's gotten a couple.
What's that, babe?
You got a little kid. You got a little kid. She ain't get no real paletas.
Y'all don't know Tyree. And we've known each other since we were 19 years old.
So there you go. That leads back into really the theme, right? How do you keep the fire?
Yes.
Right. So back, like there's this adage of understanding like fine wine. I do believe that our relationship definitely has not just matured, but we have grown through like destructive years in college.
Correct.
Right. We call those the dark years. College was, I had no consideration. Leilah was always just freaking swell. I mean, just, we're Christian, we're born again, we love God. We weren't that in college at all.
No.
But she always had values. She was always considerate. I was such a jerk. I'm like, so yeah, you survived me. Thank you so much.
Babe, but you were nice.
I wasn't nice.
You really were.
I was a nice guy. She was trying to redeem, she was the woman trying to redeem that. She's like, I know there's good in you. Let me tell y'all, ladies, let me tell you right now, when you see somebody and they destructive and they're a daggone hurricane, get out the way.
Look, don't give up.
Because we do have that story that gives so many people hope.
No, we do. That's very true.
And you should have hope.
You should.
But be careful so that, your
Yes.
heart doesn't become,
Yes.
because I did hurt you.
You did.
And it was terrible. So, but, like I said, by God's grace,
Yes.
2004, my life was transformed, and you were the first recipient
Yes.
of restoration.
Yes.
And, from that, like I tell people, the grace on our marriage is like, we've never had a knockdown drag out.
No.
We've never, it's never been like, I hate you. And
It's been more like, you stink. That's what we say to each other. We'll be like, you stink. You're having a stinky moment.
She's not nice.
And then he tells me I'm not nice.
She's not nice.
That's what we say to each other. But you know what, babe? When I really think about like what keeps the fire, what keeps the passion, I know what secures my heart. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that secures my heart is your commitment to me. It's like me knowing, and I know that you're committed to me, that there's nothing in you that will ever walk away from me.
You're going right.
And that, for me, is enough to keep me burning for the rest of our life.
Come on now, I need you to burn. Burn, baby. Burn. That's what I'm talking about. So, if you really want to understand, and I think this is about, so when you talk about relationships, I'm very good at simplifying things. Because when you can simplify something and get understanding, you can actually move in it. And the more that we do, the more that we'll know. And the more that we know, the more that we'll grow.
Yes.
So ultimately, what is the relationship hinged on? A commitment.
Correct.
Right? And when we're committed to something, when there's an unwavering or irrevocable commitment, you're willing to make the necessary sacrifices.
Correct.
You're willing to make the changes. You're willing to look internally.
Exactly.
At,
Yes.
And even if it's not something where it's a clear fault.
Correct.
It's like, how can I serve my wife better? How can I ask that question different?
Yes.
How can I approach this conversation? How can I consider her more? How can I be more romantic?
Yes.
How can I be more gentle? Mm-hmm. And these are the questions that you have to ask if you're going to have a dynamic, long-lasting relationship that serves your significant other, your spouse. And that's of course, that's the task that we've experienced in our relationship one with another, even more so even with our relationship with God. Like, man, God doesn't give up on me.
Correct.
Just having that reality, and I think that's what's unique about having a dynamic faith and a dynamic walk with God is like, man, I was busted today. And I get that to you. It's like, I was real cold. I was real cold in my care for my wife. And
I mean, the truth is we have days that aren't the best. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, meaning like you have a day where, man, I was mean that day. Or, you know what? I didn't have to respond like that, But I think it's the ability to go back and make it right.
Yes.
In those times and days. And even as I'm sitting here thinking, another, I think, and you can testify to this, which is also when it comes to our children, we have a children, but I think keeping the boundaries with the children in relation to marriage. And I know nowadays I see kids running through marriages where couples and people who are married, they don't necessarily have a boundary in relation to their children and their marriage. And although we know they're the product of marriage, there still is a boundary.
This is huge. So we already talked about commitment. We talked about boundaries. Now boundaries is really, really important. I know there's books and series on boundaries. Really good book that we read years ago. Our one of our most influential relationships taught us about the marriage circle.
Yes.
Who's in the circle?
Yes.
The husband, the wife, in Christ. Right? So, but who's outside the circle? The children aren't inside of the circle.
Correct.
One of the most powerful ways to provide security, safety, and confidence in your children is to have a healthy marriage. Right? So it's an easy misstep because we look at the purity of the child. We look at how beautiful and how
cute they are. I have a 9-year-old. She still runs into our bed, right?
This is the first one. This is the first one of my children.
She'll still come in there, but we give her the stiff arm. Sometimes we're like, no, actually, you got to go to your room.
This is the first time my wife became a punk with our youngest daughter. No children will ever allow in my bed.
Listen, my husband is like, he's like Hitler.
Get out of here. Okay? I'm trying to.
He's trying to uphold the standards.
I'm not a nudist. Let me just be real. I'm not a nudist. But every now and then I want to be a little extra cozy. I don't need you up in here sticking your toe up in my bed. I'm trying to get some skin on skin, you know?
Yes.
But that's what does it, man. I think that's really valuable when you talk about boundaries. One of my other go-tos, and I want you, as we're talking about this relationship and keeping fire, I think you could look at any relationship. I think one of the things that we have to do is be intentional, right?
You ain't getting nowhere without being intentional.
And this is difficult for us.
Yes.
Like we're at a stage in these last few years, I'll be honest with you, there's much that we aspire to do. There's more value that we believe that we have to offer. I'm talking about to business. I'm talking about, we have so much experience in relationships, so much experience in serving and leading people, being authentic, but you have to be so intentional.
Yes.
Right? And if the main thing is the main thing, if your faith, if your marriage, if your children, I call those sacred responsibilities, right? They're just sacred to us. I don't know how to put that down at the expense of trying to build a more dynamic business. I'm like, well, if there's anything I'm going to err on is, keeping the sacred responsibilities cared for, but it has to be intention. So if you're going to have a rich, romantic.
Correct.
If I'm going to get that gaze out of your eye.
Correct.
I'm going to have to make sure that, you're considered.
Yes.
It's going to have to be some cards, some notes.
And my husband, he will leave me a card with some wonderful notes.
I love you, baby.
I mean, he is good at that. And he does that because he knows that sometimes I can't stop.
So my wife's, this probably won't be the last time. This is Can't Stop, Don't Stop. Diddy, we appreciate you.
Now I'm Can't Stop, Don't
Can't stop, won't stop, can't stop, don't stop.
But I have to. I'm gonna get better. I'm getting better.
You're getting better. Prophesy.
But I do appreciate, even him being intentional with kind of stopping me, in a moment, because sometimes I miss out on the hug. I miss out on the hug moment because I'm like, oh wait, I gotta go to the supermarket. Oh wait, I have to put in this Costco order.
There it is.
Right? Or I don't want to be late for this, and there's a gazillion things always to be done. So you being intentional to stop me and look me in my face and give me a hug, and that helps.
It's huge.
That helps me.
So these are just some. I think there's an endless list when you talk about how fluid relationships are day to day. How there's always an intrusion of something within life, especially when you have business. There's moments that you weren't prepared for, right? Yes. It's and I think every human out there, just being considered that everybody just went through COVID, that we've all experienced that in some measure. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, the things that we prioritize and give greater weight to is what's going to get that attention, and it's going to get that intention. And ultimately we reap from that, right?
Yes.
It's a sowing and reaping game. And I'm committed to sowing into your fruitfulness, my love.
Yes, you are.
I done sown some seeds, and I've sown 7 seeds into
We're still waiting on the return on those.
Man, listen.
I'm watching that.
Listen.
Grow.
So, this has been a big part of our leadership journey, right? The beautiful thing about raising a family is that when you're committed to someone's welfare, it's like children, you can't run away from it.
No.
When you go to work, it's a different leadership dynamic where you're leading people in competencies, but ultimately the highest performing leaders care about people, right? They care about their long-term welfare. But with your children, they don't go anywhere.
No.
And they don't care. They don't. It's a thankless commitment. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, they're terrorists, right? Let's just be honest. That's one of our favorite words. They're terrorists. They're absolute terrorists. But you so love them. They give you so much more.
Yes.
They give you so much more to consider about yourself and how you can be better for them.
Yes. Correct.
Goodness gracious. So, let me think about, something else. So, share with the audience in relation to some of the things that you like that keeps you engaged, even like I said, romantically. We talk about, you know, because we're all going to have the things that we find give us meaning, right? When we go to work, work is about meaning and purpose.
Yes.
Right? And you are a worker. You are a laborer.
Yes.
My wife is not she's not that kind of housewife. She is, I'm about to get this done.
Why you gotta say
Get out of the way.
Yes.
So, you know, and obviously even shout out to all, when you're commanding and serving a family and children and real people, there's no greater, greater commitment. But what is romance? How do you, and I know, these are the conversations we've had before.
Yes.
But what's helpful for you in light of all that moving inertia, all that to-do list?
I will be completely 100, which is, I'm not gonna lie. I think I said this to you the other night. I'm like, it takes me a while to sort of come down into a space where I feel settled to move into a place of like intimacy.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Where we're not gonna just do duty booty.
Yeah.
Because I'm
big.
a duty booty specialist.
You get down. Hey, listen, duty. R.I.P. Ravi Zacharias, but it was duty is the handmaiden of love and honor.
Yes.
So duty booty's in order in your marriages, y'all.
Yes.
Duty booty's in order, but you want to have something.
Yeah,
you want to have this.
Correct. So I would say that I like massage. That helps.
Oh boy.
That releases the endorphins to get me feeling woozy, actually.
So my wife likes a massage just to put her to sleep.
Not to put me to sleep.
And then she comes back up. Yeah. You want to play?
That's one thing. Also, like a staycation, where I can honestly kind of just step back from the whole, household, because when I'm in it, I'm thinking about, are the kids down? Are the dishes done? This is our mind. Our mind is thinking about it, thinking about the next day. Even right now, it's like 7:00. I'm thinking about, did the kids wash up yet? Are they prepared? Are they gonna wake up in the morning and then tell me they don't know where their pants are for school, right? So kind of, I really do have to decompress from that so that I could really give myself. And I think we talk a lot, and that helps tremendously.
It is.
And that's a part of the quality time where we can just kind of share our heart about whatever.
Yeah. Any and everything.
Anything and everything.
Obviously the communication actually does become the foreplay. We're 42 years old. We're still raising a robust family.
Yes.
And let's be honest, we both tired.
Yes.
I used to be the one, I was less tired. My wife, let me tell you what, because of the nature, I kind of know myself and know when I need to stop. I'm drilling down all in, and I just know it's kind of like you go as fast as you can, and you need a break, you need to huddle. Right. And that's kind of, that interval mindset. I'm like, I'm going to crash.
That's a good one. See, he has an interval mindset. I have a what's that race called?
Marathon?
No.
Endurance race? Death race?
No, the one.
My wife has a death race mindset.
Oh.
That's what it is.
No, what is that? I have a sprint mindset.
No, you have a death race mindset. I have a sprint mindset. So, because when you sprint, you're going to need a rest. You can't sprint forever.
Yeah, but you sprint, meaning you're out the gate fast.
I'm out.
And I guess you know what it is. I'm learning myself. I do have a thing about finishing.
There it is.
I'm so
sorry.
That is the honest truth. I have a thing about finishing.
Sure.
And if it's not finished,
no satisfaction.
None. Zero.
So this is it's just really good. Like I said, this is good to talk it out, and I'm sure there's everyone who can see themselves in this, because there's differences in individuals.
Correct.
And obviously within a marriage relationship, the complementary nature. We have to begin the heat. We got to kind of have these moments of humility. But ultimately, even within a marriage, what's unique is we actually exist to serve one another.
Yes.
Right. So the marriage flourishes when I'm committed and I'm considerate, and it's about laying down my life for you, and vice versa. And I think that's what makes it such a unique relationship. when you put in the no way out clause. And
Yes.
we do have a no way out clause. Like,
Yes.
and I'll say this publicly like a mug. Like if my wife committed adultery, I'd be destroyed. But I would never divorce her. Like I would never divorce her.
Bam.
There's no way out. And the reason why is because I made a vow before God. I didn't make a vow to love you and be committed to you because you were perfect. And I just believe that God has been so committed to me, and I have the capacity. Now I would be broken. She would be sleeping on the couch. No doubt. Like she, like, listen, man, like, I get away and get my mind right. I'm nasty, heifer, you just dirty. But no, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be committed to loving you and washing you and forgiving you and all that good, holy, sanctify.
You're so crazy.
But I think that's what makes it supernatural.
Yes.
That's what makes it above and beyond. That's what allows love to persevere.
Yes.
And that's what makes a thriving marriage after turmoil in college possible. Yes. The forgiveness and the love.
Yes.
Right? And that's what we're committed to. And listen, people ask me, like, how you get 7 kids? I'm like, look at my wife.
They always say they're like no television.
Like, there's thoughts going on in my head right now. But I'm just, listen, it's not my fault.
It's not my fault.
I feel like this, now that we've done this wonderful episode, let's celebrate. That's how romance happens.
Yes.
By having the right thoughts.
Yes.
So let me think.
You've been good. I mean, honestly, my husband has been the forerunner in relation to romance and fire. And I mean, I think you do a wonderful job. I know we're in the age of where people are like, speak what you want,
Yeah.
And so, but you do a good job of, of really verbalizing, communicating to me your love, your affection, your intentions, and just your pursuit. I admire your pursuit.
Well,
I feel like the loser actually in the relationship, guys. I'm working. I promise you, I'm working to get there, and I wanna get to that place where I'm running him down.
Well, that's why we're catching this moment right here,
Yes.
because although it's been that kind of journey, for lack of better terms, it's been meaningful. I've never felt like my wife is just like, consider the life that we've built together, right? There's been so many, moments of celebration.
Yes.
We're getting to the point now where we're sharing more with the world because it's just worth sharing, right? But ultimately, you've been not just like, you undergird me. So the oneness has always been there. The only reason I can be who I am is because God has given me this beautiful helpmate. And so that's the cool part. I remember when you shared with me the Easer Connecto.
Yes.
Talk about the Easer Connecto. Give them a good little ministry moment.
Well,
Give the audience a good little.
I guess that word comes from it says it's the only place in the Bible where that word is used in reference to God as a lifesaver.
As a lifesaver.
As a lifesaver. So when we talk about helpmate, that's what we're talking about. So we don't have to devalue. I think we try to do that in culture where we talk about roles, but no, everybody has a role.
Yes.
And that is one place that a wife can have in her marriage relationship is you need to see yourself like that and value it and like serve like it.
It's powerful. It's powerful. So now you get it. So she's my lifesaver. Like I'm not.
And you love lifesavers.
I do. I love them gummy. I love them gummy. So we have so much fun together. She is my best friend. She's my everyday. She's my only one.
That's another. I didn't want to share that because then people think they ain't got a best friend, that they somehow have a bad marriage.
Oh no.
But
we'll set the record straight.
But we are really good friends.
We enjoy being with one another all the time. So, I think that was what was important. We really wanted to create this dialogue so we could talk about, when we talk about catch the moment, we're trying to add value in so many different ways. And I always like to simplify relationships because some people are listening about how you're gonna move forward in sport, how you're gonna move forward in business, how you're gonna move forward in life.
Yes.
Well, all the same things kind of flow. You just have to look at the nature of your relationship. Look at what you're intentional about. Look at what you're committed to. Look at what you value. How do you nurture those relationships? Do you value your parents when they're supporting your objectives? And I'm really trying to tie this all together because, when you have so much responsibility, so many moving pieces, there still has to be a commitment to the most important thing in that marriage relationship, which is one another, which is keeping that flame right. And man, you've done that well.
Thank you, honey.
I can't wait to celebrate. Can't wait to celebrate this episode. So listen, I really appreciate this dialogue.
Yes.
Was there anything else that we're missing, Lovely?
Yes, you didn't ask me where I was when the helmet catch happened.
Oh, so you want some of this? This is an official episode. I thought we were beyond that. No, we're not beyond that. We're never beyond that. So, my love, having you on, you're my co-host. You're not a guest. You just don't appear every week.
I don't.
So I never asked you, where were you when you saw the helmet catch? I know where you were, but tell me what your thoughts were. Tell me your story.
Tell me my story. Well, I was in none other than Glendale, Arizona. Yes, I was. And the very funny part, so before the game, they actually give you these tags. Mm-hmm. Basically, at the 2-minute mark, if your team is winning, this tag allows you to go down to the field so that when that timer runs out, we could all run onto the field and have the time of our life, right? Wow. So literally, that's what happened. So I'm like, no, we're going to win this. Now, by the way, when that time came, we still really didn't know where the game was going. But I was like, no, I believe.
I believe.
Who
you believe?
I believe the Lord.
Come on, somebody.
Okay?
I'm just saying.
I said, I believe, and I'm getting up. So I said, come on, Mom, right? So we start walking. We're actually walking in the stadium, and we hear the crowd go, oh, we hear them yell. So then we look, how at the concession stands, they have a video.
Yeah.
So my mother, she's like, that was Dave. I was like, really? Now for me, I'm just like, awesome. We're closer to the goal line. I really didn't know what kind of catch it was.
So you barely saw it.
I barely saw it.
Great job. No, don't worry about it. Just most iconic moment of our life.
I actually didn't see it until, honestly, we got back to the hotel.
So you didn't see any other replays after the game?
because remember, I go downstairs.
You was there with me after
we're on the field. I'm just excited. You got a touchdown. I'm excited. I know you made a catch that positioned us to make a touchdown to win.
Yeah.
So it was a big game for you, period.
Huge.
So that's all I understood. But it wasn't until we got on the bus where I could hear people were calling and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay, but not to that extent.
Yeah.
I knew that it was that catch. And it wasn't until, honestly, when we got home the next morning and I'm in bed and we turn on the television and I see the front cover of Sports Illustrated.
Boom, boom.
I was like, oh, this is big.
This
is big.
SUV. Doom, doom.
Yeah.
Or is it SVU? SUV. Yeah. Man, that's fantastic.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
But it was, man. I mean, even now when I look at the pictures, because I remember, I feel like, I don't even know. I feel like we didn't even capture.
We didn't
capture that moment.
So in full transparency, right? So because we were young parents, right?
Oh my gosh.
I think we were always trying to free ourselves from our kids. So the boys weren't even at the stadium.
They weren't.
Right? So one of my biggest regrets, I'm one of the people to be honest to say that I do have a few regrets in life. One of the biggest regrets is my two boys were not at the stadium. We had other family members there.
We had other family members there, but the boys weren't.
But my two sons were absent from I don't even know if we had a camera. We were barely taking pictures.
Yeah.
It was really a moment of awe. It was kind of like, like not blaming myself, but you talk about like not really savoring and not being prepared to make this the moment that it was. I was like, boy, you screwed that up, buddy.
I think, you know what? And I think that's, you know, that's definitely, I would say just together in our years moving forward, I don't think we've captured.
Yeah.
Like been in it, like this
understanding the weight, right? It's like, you know, when you're a football player, you're just a football player.
Yeah.
And you know, you understand that you're a professional football player, but we've never, be honest with you, it's a gift and a curse.
Yeah.
We've never sweat ourselves like that. Like we just like, I'm just going to work.
Yeah.
And
we've moved on some things too quickly.
We did. Yeah. We did. So I think that's a real honest reflection. Like, you know, and I was never trying to like get past the helmet catch.
Right.
I think it was just the reality. And, you know, not too long after we had the catch, it was an injury. It was like, it was an injury and it was disappointment, and we had to exercise our faith toward other things.
Yes.
And, but you're right, babe. But you know what? You missed a hell of a moment.
I did. You're right.
No, baby, you was moving in faith, girl. My baby was out here moving in faith.
But I mean, I wish I could have seen.
Don't worry, I didn't see it until we got back. We both saw it when we got back to the hotel, and it was a moment that we knew God had done something monumental in our lives.
Yes.
So that's amazing. All right, babe. So we have definitely given the full experience. Well, not a full experience, but we've given a lot of good insight into what continues to fan our flame in our relationship, its intention, its commitment.
Yes.
Right. We've made the necessary sacrifices. It has been, just the journey of self-awareness and understanding one another. So I think everyone needs to give some proper attention to these realities when you're, as your responsibilities grow, as your family grows, as your business grows. You're going to have to understand what the priorities are within your marriage, within your relationships, and be committed to nurturing those areas in your life so that you can still be on fire for one another and maintain the highest fruit in the most significant relationship that we're ever going to have in the earth. So thank you, my lovely. Thank you for being with me today.
I love it.
Hey, I hope y'all enjoyed that. I hope y'all enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed having this beauty here with me. Catch the Moment podcast every single week. I need y'all to check in. It's never a bore, because every week we're bringing you into a moment that's going to deliver you to your journey and maximize the opportunity to get great done every week. Appreciate every single person for tuning in.